Hello, everyone, and welcome to Body Bags. I'm your reviewer for today. I am Sinema77, horror and cult film lover, and today we're going to talk about a movie that I have to admit I wasn't 100% sure I was going to like it, but after watching it, I really enjoyed this movie. And the movie it come out this year is Us, from writer-director Jordan Peele. And the reason why at first I didn't think I was going to like it, I wasn't 100% sure when I watched the trailer, and it's kind of like at first I was kind of like, I don't know. It seems like it's going to be like, a little bit of like The Strangers, but then it's going to kind of go off in a weird direction. So I wasn't sure. I didn't know how this movie was going to play out. But yeah, I got this. I was at a record store the other day. I picked this up for a really, really good price. And I was like, why not? You know what? I'm curious. I'll go ahead and give it a look. See, I did enjoy Get Out. That movie was good. And so I thought, go ahead and take a chance on it. So I went ahead and watched it. And I got to be honest, I'm pleasantly surprised by this movie. This movie turned out a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I know this movie gets mixed reactions. I know, some people like it, some people not so much. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's all I felt like this was definitely a good follow up to Get Out. But the story is pretty simple. You start off, you got this little girl, Addie, and she's going to the fair with her mother and her father, and they're bickering and arguing and stuff like that. And he's talking about like he wants to go get a beer and all this stuff, and as she's like talking about like you really shouldn't be drinking in front of the child and this and that, and so she's got like a candy apple, and so they're trying to enjoy a night at the fair, but it's not panning out so well. And so at one point he starts he's playing like the ring toss games and stuff, pitching the balls, stuff like that. He's trying to play these games and everything. And so as she's talking about like, she's telling her, Addie, come with me. And she's like, no, I don't want to. It's like, we'll stay here. She tells her husband, keep a good watch on her. And he's like, yeah, fine and stuff. So the mother goes off. And so Addie, she goes, she starts hearing, like a voice and kind of like a hall of mirrors on the beach. And so she's a little nervous, a little hesitant. She goes in there. And she's looking around, and like there's some spooky stuff coming out. And then she gets in the hall of mirrors, and at one point she's looking, and very well done, very well done. Creepy scene, builds some tension and some suspense. And then it's like at one point she turns away, and then she could see like you could see the reflection. Like at first it's doing what she's doing, but then it turns around, looks at her, and so she turns around, and then it's like that, so that was pretty good. That was well done. I like that. That was good. And then cut to years later, we find out that Addie, she's now a grown woman. She's married to a man named Gabe, and they have two children, a son and a daughter. And they're heading up, what's supposed to be a nice, restful vacation weekend at the beach. They have a beach house, and it belonged to, I believed it belonged to her family. And so the idea is they're just going to go up there and they're going to have fun and just enjoy the weekend and stuff. And even though they're a family that love each other, they kind of like to give each other shit, like you got the son, he likes to wear masks, and he's like always trying to scare people, especially his sister. He's like always trying to spook his sister and stuff like that. And, they get there, and she's, Addie is immediately like not feeling it. She's not doing good at all. And then, and she's kind of wanting to go home right from the get-go. And we realize that, Addie, she doesn't talk much. Of course, what happened to her as a little girl traumatized her really, and so she's kind of, so, Gabe is like trying to convince her, honey, just relax. Everything's okay. You're safe. Let's have a good time and all this kind of stuff. And so she's, like I said, she's kind of hesitant at first, but she's kind of slowly starting to get into it. And then they turn out, well, we got to go to the beach because they're friends with this very well-to-do rich white family. And the wife is actually played by the rich white family is actually played by Elisabeth Moss, who you remember from like Mad Men, and what was that movie? I think it was called The Attic. She was in, and right now she's on that show Handmaid's Tale. So she's pretty well known. And so they're going out there, and they're trying to have a good time and all this other kind of stuff. And you could tell these are just snobby a snobby family. It's like, the kids don't get along. They have like two daughters, and these two daughters are almost like, almost like, oh God, these are almost as bad as like the Hilton sisters. They're just, kind of just, ooh. And they like to pick on the little boy and stuff, and, call him names and everything. And the daughter, and, Addie's daughter, she just kind of likes to sit by herself and just be on her phone and stuff. So she's kind of a loner and everything. And, so, this, the son, he goes and he's starting to head towards the same hall of mirrors that, his mother went to. And so she freaks out and stuff. And, so, the little boy comes back and, so it's later that night. And so they're talking about, Addie's talking about she really wants to leave. Something's not right. She's been feeling uncomfortable since they got here. She really feels like, something's going to happen. Something is after her and stuff. And at first, Gabe is just trying to pass it off that, oh, honey, you just need to relax and everything. And of course, he's like trying to set a romantic mood and everything. But then at one point, Addie looks outside and she sees these four figures standing in the yard. And, and at first they don't know who are these people, what are they doing, and all this kind of stuff. And so, at first Gabe is kind of like, honey, I think you're overreacting. And so she's, no, look, there's people standing out in our yard and all that stuff. And the son is saying the same thing. And so they're looking and their power goes out. And so, so Gabe is like, I'm the man of the family. I'm going to go out. I'm going to tell these people, take a hike, get out of here. And so, he goes out there and then, and then it's, what ends up happening is these four people are basically like twins or doppelgangers of Addie and her family, but they have like different names. I forget all the names, but like, for instance, like Gabriel, his doppelganger is named Abraham. And so, they take the family hostage. They're, beating up the father and everything else. And so this one here, she's explaining that, and that's the thing, these doppelgangers, honestly, they look creepy as hell. They got these really weird, look at those eyes. Those eyes kind of really unsettling. And so, they're talking about how, they're here basically that they've come from kind of like almost like an underworld, like another dimension, another world or something. And that they've seen, and she's explaining like we've seen you people and how you live your lives and this is what I had to go through. This is what my life is. And I see, you've had it good while I've had it bad. Well, we've had enough. And so, we're coming up from the underworld or from this other dimension to basically, take you out and take what should be ours. And it's like, my husband is going to murder your husband. And then, then he's going to take his place, my son is going to murder your son, my daughter, your daughter. I'm going to kill you. And then, and it's not, they realize like it's not just us. It turns out it's everybody. Everybody in the world has these doppelgangers that are coming up, and that's the idea, is that they're going to come up and they're going to pretty much like murder everybody and take their place. Almost like it very much has kind of an Invasion of the Body Snatchers, almost kind of a feel to it. And but I think I'm going to go ahead and stop there as far as like getting into details of the movie, because I think I've said too much already. But this movie, okay, I may not say the best horror film of all time, but I mean it's definitely good. I honestly, like I said, I really enjoyed this movie. I thought that this was a good movie. Like I said, and when I first saw the trailer, I wasn't 100% sure what I was going to think of it, but at the end of the day, overall, I'm impressed by this movie. There were a couple of things about it that kind of bother me. I'm going to be honest with you. This movie is a bit more about, setting up, kind of suspense, creating tension and stuff like that. I will give Jordan Peele credit, not a lot of jump scares. This movie doesn't have like, it's not like almost like a formula, like every 10 minutes there needs to be another jump scare. So I'm happy about that, even though there are a couple, but overall, for the most part, I do enjoy this movie. I do think that if there was one thing that bothers me, I know this is going to sound crazy because, Jordan Peele, I mean, he's just now pretty much starting his horror career, I mean, he did Get Out, and some people would argue, well, that's not really a horror movie. That's more like a suspense thriller. But he did Get Out. There's this movie. He's supposed to be like, I think he's writing and producing the Candyman remake. What else is there? He's the host of the new Twilight Zone. So, I mean, Jordan Peele, his horror movie career is starting. And, I mean, that's a good thing. I'm looking forward to see what else he can do. But, we all know that before this ever happened, Jordan Peele is widely known as a comedian. He was on Mad TV. He was on, he had his own TV show, Key and Peele and all this stuff. So, his horror career is just beginning. It's starting to evolve. But the one thing I will say that I didn't like about this movie is that, some filmmakers can blend humor and horror perfectly or at least well enough. In my opinion, Jordan Peele doesn't really do that. There are parts in the movie where it's like, Gabe, the character of Gabe, he's meant to be kind of like the comic relief. He's meant to be kind of the funny one, and it gets annoying to a point, I mean, nothing personal against the actor, but just the character itself. It's like for one thing, it's like you realize that like Addie and her family, like I said, they have this rich white family that they're friends with, they associate with. And the thing is like they're constantly like trying to, I don't know if they want to one up them but it seems like they're in constant competition with them. And it's like, like they're talking about like, this white family got this nice boat. So, Gabe is like, I got to get a nice boat. And then, so he gets a boat. It's not as big. And so, and then it comes into play later in the movie, but it's like the motor on the boat doesn't always work, but it's kind of, at first it's kind of comic relief and stuff. And then even when the scary stuff starts to go down, it kind of, for me personally, it just kind of took me out of the mood a little bit whenever Gabe usually said something, because usually it's like everything he says is like just about all of his dialogue is meant to be like a joke or a quip or, or a funny remark or something. And sometimes I remember watching, I was just kind of like, oh God, could you just not talk, that was my biggest problem. It just, I know that sounds crazy for a man who's, his, just now becoming into the horror field, but, did most of his career as a comedian. But, just for me personally, it's like the injection of humor into this movie just really didn't work. That's just my opinion. But overall, though, the acting is amazing. The lead actress here, she does great as both, Addie and as her doppelganger self. It's like, she does these movements, it's like the way, I swear to God, they're like movement. The way she does is kind of like, and they got these like long gold scissors. Well, they don't show it on here. They got like these long gold scissors, and these are the murder implements that they use to kill. They're going to use these to kill their counterpart so that they can take over. And it's like she's got this way, like she does these little turns and everything else, and the way her motion of her way of movement and everything else, just wow. It's incredible. So, I mean, she does a great job. She's fantastic in the lead role. And, yeah, I mean, like I said, I got to give props to all the actors in this movie. Even like Addie's daughter, and that's the thing, when they play like I said before, when they play the doppelganger counterparts of themselves, they look creepy. They look disturbing. They have this look on, it's like, it just, for me personally, like it just makes it unsettling. It's like, ugh. The way they look just kind of chills you to the bones a little bit, or at least for me it does. But yeah, just I have to admit, just the character of Gabe was just kind of, see, even him when he's playing his counterpart Abraham, and that character is scary. He is frightening. He is like if I saw him, if I saw him and he's coming at me with those golden shears, my instinct would be to just try to run. I mean, they're terrifying, but. But like I said, I think Gabe is just kind of like the character. Like I said, like every bit of dialogue he gets is mostly him trying to be funny, and just he's always trying to say a joke, or he's always trying to make a funny quip or a sarcastic remark or something. Sorry, my throat's dry, but other than that though, that was just the only part I didn't like about it. But I give Jordan Peele credit. This is it doesn't feel like an entirely new concept. It feels like it's definitely been done before. But I really like that Jordan Peele his approach to it feels really fresh. You know, it feels unique in its own way, and it feels like he really took it, like he knows the formula, but he figured out a way to do something different with it. And, you know, I applaud that. And like I said, in the beginning when I first saw the trailer, I wasn't sure if I was going to like this. It turns out, no, I really do. And I honestly recommend this movie. And if Jordan Peele is going to keep making movies like this, you know, it's like, I'm looking forward to seeing what the rest of his horror career is going to be like. So, but that's just me. So anyway, yeah, that's that. We talked about Us, written and directed by Jordan Peele. So if anybody took the time to watch this video, I thank you for doing it, and I appreciate you for doing it. I honestly hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe to the Body Bags channel. You know, we have a different reviewer every day of the week. I'm the Saturday reviewer, but we have, you know, 7 guys doing great stuff, great reviews. You know, everybody's doing wonderful, very entertaining. So, yeah, so take care, and I'll see you guys next week when the theme of the week is going to be Child's Play Week. Everybody's been watching the videos this past week. I think you already know that you know, next week is Child's Play Week. But so anyway, so I'll see you next week when I do Curse of Chucky. So take care, have a good night, bye bye.